Hello everyone, this is Paul from the Pin Academy. So as usual, we're continuing with showing you guys how to implement exactly what we did teach you guys on this channel here. So we're just going to be continuing showing you guys the practical application of all the concepts we have showed you on a live market, like the current price. No replaying, no talking about what happened past, but we show you how to implement on the current price, then you'll see the results for yourself, as long as you implement what we taught you here, all the rules that we told you guys to follow. So we're going to be looking at some examples. Now, what we're going to be focusing on today is this. It's very easy for a trader to identify a high, higher, a low, a higher high, higher low, when it is theoretical like this. Or simply, it's easy for someone to identify low, high, lower low, lower high, like that. It's easy when it's theoretical like this, but it's very difficult for someone to identify it on the chart. And remember that these are the levels that we do take our trades from, these higher highs or higher lows, or lower lows and lower highs. These are the levels we want to take our trades from. We do not want to take trades in between here, right? So without wasting time, we're going to start with a Euro USD. Now, we have spoken about Euro USD ever since it was down here. If you guys have been following, at least you must have known that our target was here. You can watch our previous videos. There's Euro USD in one of those videos, but we're doing a breakdown on them, telling, and then we said that this level was not tested. This is the only level that was tested, and we needed this area here to be tested, which currently the market has done so. Now, let me just clear this. So, as usual, when you're doing a breakdown, make sure you have a market that, you have a system or a plan that gives you direction. You have a time frame that gives you the structure you're going to trade, and also that gives you entry. So usually here, we do not know the type of trader you are, where you are, wherever you are. So we do use monthly, weekly, and daily. Now, weekly is for people who want structure for long term, and daily is for people who want structure for intraday and short term or mid term, right? So that's why we use 3 of them. But otherwise, you can only use direction monthly, then weekly, or you can use direction monthly, then daily. But I'm not saying you should stick strictly to these time frames. You can also use your own time frames. We have a video that guided you on how to choose time frames. So make sure you choose time frames that give you structure. It can be H4. You can use H4, H1, and maybe minute 15. You can use H4, H1, maybe minute 30. It's up to you. Make sure you choose the proper time frames. Now, let's get to Euro USD. Let's start from monthly, the direction that we do have currently here. Now, we talked about Euro USD when we're still coming to retest here, and we can clearly observe that the market entered slightly a bit when we're retesting this point here. And I told you guys that it still has to push higher, right? So this level here was tested inside. We went inside to test the weekly level, and then the market rejected. But now, where are we rejecting to? Where were we rejecting to go to? We're rejecting to come to test an upper level here. But of course, the more you go to a smaller time frame, you realize that we have other inside structures in those lower time frames, like weekly and daily. So this is the level that we have in monthly. Now, when you come down to weekly, you can clearly observe that why the market came slightly lower here is I showed you guys that we had this area here. I'll just show you this area here, which was broken and never tested. So the market had to test it. Then in the same video, I told you guys that we did have a market that created an M when we're coming down. Someone was asking in the comment section that, is that really an M? Someone was saying that maybe we're forcing a structure there. And I told you guys that if you cannot see structures, make sure you go to the line chart. For example, I'll come to the line chart, and you can observe that we have an M here. We have taught you guys about types of M's. We have an M that gives the most famous one, the double top. We have an M that gives us a lower high, this one here, and then we have an M that gives us a higher high. These are the 3 types of M's that we have. For also, the vice versa is true. We have double bottoms for a W. Make sure the neckline is broken. We also have this other type here for the second type. And then the third type is just the opposite, right? So if you can't identify these structures, make sure you use line chart. So we did have our target into this area here, and I mentioned to you guys that. Now, what I would like us to focus on today is actually not these structures here, because I want you guys to learn how to identify the higher highs and higher lows. Now, let's just for purposes of studies, when you spot here, the market broke above this high here, and then it came and retested it. But remember, before it tested it here, and then also created this high here, that the market had to come and test. So you can clearly observe that the market is moving while creating higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, equal lows. So people may think that when the market had broken this point, it was going down. No. As long as it has not broken this point here, it's still in an uptrend. Then it again made a high. Then this was our previous higher low. Came back and tested the same point. Other people were trapped here, and they were tempted into selling, which yet the market was still in a bullish market. So the market makes a new high, and still creates a structure, and then that's why it came to test here. I spoke about this structure here, right? So you can clearly see that in weekly, we're still in an uptrend. I'll just delete this to make the chart a bit clean. In weekly, we're still in an uptrend, right? Remember, when the market is making highs and lows, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, this is an uptrend. As long as still making higher highs and still making higher lows, right? We're still in an uptrend. Now let's go down to daily. So far, monthly, weekly, and daily are speaking about an uptrend. But of course, we do have minor structures, like I mentioned, that each time frame has its structure it is making. For example, here, the market was making higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, then made triple tops, and then started making lower lows. But in the process of making lower lows, remember, when you make a lower low, lower high, lower low, this lower low has to be tested as a previous support, which is now resistance. But the moment it's not tested, for example, if the market just comes and makes a pullback and continues, this makes us have a virgin area here, or virgin territory that the market needs to come back to at a certain date, which is exactly what happened on EURUSD here, right? So make sure when you're marking your levels, you consider that. For example, I'm just going to change the, I'm just going to increase the chart a little bit here. So for example, if the market gives us, let's say, this area here, which was not tested, I'll just mark it and change it to blue so that you can be able to differentiate. This area here, this was our original target, if you can watch the previous videos. Then also we had this area here that the market had not tested, which it just came and tested of recent, I think on Friday. So the market made a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. But remember, this area here is not tested. It made the low here, also this area here was not tested. Lower high, lower low, then it came and tested this point here, right? Then it broke above, gave us a test here, but not a proper one. So also I'll identify this area here. I'll just mark it and leave it there, right? Because it was not properly tested. It was tested, but it's not a proper retest. Those who are in the private community clearly understand that this is not a proper retest. So we're going to use this level here for a future use. Now, what next for EURUSD? Since we've now aggressively moved up, we made a high, a higher low, then we made an aggressive move. I told you guys, whenever there's an impulsive move, what do we want to use? We want to bring out our Fibonacci retracement tool, and then we can measure how far the market could possibly retrace. So if you can clearly observe, the market came and touched one of our few areas, which is properly aligning with this structure, which the market had not tested while going down. Instead, again, broke above it. Now we have tested it as our support level. Are you getting it? But what I want you guys to observe is that in the process of doing that, the market came down with an M. So when an M is created, what do we want to see? We want to see the market giving us a retest, and then to react, either to give us a lower low, or it can react to give us double bottoms, or as well it can react to give us a higher low before continuing up. Are you getting it? So let me just remove this. We know that we have gotten a proper confluence, that this is a strong level there, but also do not forget that we do have this neckline area here. If in case you cannot see that it's a neckline, I usually advise you go to line chart so that you can see that this is a turning point here, that the market currently is respecting, right? I'll just turn it to green there. Now, when you go back to the candlestick chart, let's go slightly lower into the H4 time frame so that you can see what is happening there. Now, when you come to H4, we can clearly see that the momentum is still not yet strong upwards, right? The momentum is not yet strong. The market made a high, higher low, a high, then we broke down this point here. Now, check the momentum here. We have several buyers struggling to go up while not even taking out one sell candle, which is not good for buyers, unless we do have a strong break of this area here. Then on a weekly test, then we can continue to test our level up there in a bigger time frame, which we identified here, right? But without breaking this level here, there are higher chances the market may want to first come down to this untested area here to grab liquidity before pushing higher. So those who trade EURUSD, this is how you mark your highs and lows. This is a practical example in a live market. You can use the same levels to take your trades. In case you're trading EURUSD, you can just compare this to your analysis and see if what we're really teaching you is the same thing that the market is doing. But so far, if you've been following, you know that we have been catching all these moves here using the same things that we do teach you, right? Now, this is the first example. Let's go to the second example. This is EURUSD. And us to go to also, let's talk about gold. Most people like trading gold. We have been talking about gold for a number of days. We have been talking about it for every step. So again, we shall start from monthly. So I'll just increase this, right? I'll just expand this here. So currently the market is below this area here, right? But also it's being rejected around this support area here. So when I go down to my weekly time frame, why do I start from these bigger time frames? Because remember, it has to be a routine. As a trader, you must have a routine, which is a habit. A habit, you turn it into rules. Now, at the moment you don't have rules as a trader, you're always going to be gambling, right? There's a very thin difference between gambling and trading. So make sure you're not gambling. Instead, you're trading. Now, monthly, we are below these areas here. Actually, we closed below this area, meaning the higher chances we could continue down. Remember in the previous video that I made talking about gold, when it was daily time frame, I told you guys that the market just made this type of triangle. You guys have given these triangles very many names, but to make things simple, I usually just tell people these are two trend lines. We're just expecting one of them to be broken. Do not complicate things, right? There are very many names which are there. Everything works, whether you want to call it a V facing backwards, a V facing front. It's up to you, as long as it does work for you, right? Everything in trading does work as long as you understand its rules, right? So we said, and I told you guys that it could either break upwards or downwards, but I gave you guys a favorable move of how I expect it to break downwards, and that's what the market did. Now let's just slightly go back to weekly, so that we can see how the market is still behaving. Now, monthly says that this was our previous level of resistance, was tested as support. So the market came again, respected this support. Finally, we closed below it. Now, in the process, I want you guys to observe this. The market gave us an M, then retested the neckline. That is the rule, guys. Whenever you guys see an M, and if you cannot see it, as long as the neckline is broken here and an M is created like this, it has to go back, test the neckline. If it's so aggressive, it will break this and this will become support. But the rule is the market has to retest this neckline, then it gives us what next? Either to create double bottoms, or to create a higher low, or to create a lower low. Now, currently, the market created for us an M, retested the neckline, and then created a low. So when the market starts creating such lows, what do we observe? We do observe the market made this low, lower high, lower low. So what next? We expect the market to give us a retest. It's like this: lower low, lower high, lower low. You can see, I told you guys just a few minutes back that when the market breaks a low, we expect it to be tested, which is currently what we expect the market to do this week on gold, right? Then we can continue down, or to create double bottoms, or even to create higher low. We don't know yet, right? So, but everything is still bearish, starting even from monthly. Now, when you go down to daily, you guys can clearly observe, in case you understand what market phases are. The market was moving in phase one, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Then we went into the second phase. This is phase one, phase two. Now we have to finish on the third phase, right? So this still shows us that there's still more room to go downwards, at least to give us a level of, to meet this level of support here that the market did not properly retest, right? Right. So we have a market also in daily that has broken the triangle. I don't know how you guys call it, but this area here was broken, which we expect the market to come and retest, right? So let's just go back to the basics that we are talking about, how to identify highs and lows, right? So in weekly, we observed that the market created an M, broke the neckline, retested, and then broke this low here. Weekly is telling us that we need to retest this area here, then we can continue down, right? Now, what is daily telling us? Daily is telling us that we have just created a low, lower high. Then we came into this noise here while creating these equal lows here, right? So we have broken this low. This is like a lower low, lower high, lower low, a lower high, and then lower low, right? So we just expect a retest into this area here. Then we can see what next. Are we going to create a low, or we're going to create double bottoms? So in actual sense, we're still making lower lows and lower highs, right? I know the video is going to be long, but in case you want to learn, make sure you understand these things I'm trying to explain in detail. Make sure you pay attention. In case you don't understand anything, make sure you can leave it in the comment section. We always look through the comments to see where you guys are facing challenges. So also daily, we're expecting retest, then we can push down. Now let's go slightly into the entry time frames, which is H4 and H1. Now, when you look at H4, the market also did leave for us areas that were not properly tested up here. I'll just make this area here green. Let's make it green there. So the market is either going to give us a retest into this area. It shows that it did give us a retest, and also the momentum upwards is struggling, but we need the market to at least give us a slight push into this area here. Then we can maybe have a push down. Even if it comes into this green area, which will be the best, as long as it gives us a loss of momentum while approaching either this blue zone or this green area, then we can have a push down. So me as Paul, the areas I'm focusing on while to trade gold. Of course, I have a swing trade on this. Those who are in the private group clearly know the positions that I'm still holding on gold. I'm bearish starting from up that side. I also mentioned it in one of the videos I posted here, right? So now the areas, in case you're swinging gold and you want to add more positions, depending on how it approaches, is this area here. And also we have this green area here so that we can see how the market continues. Your first target can be the double bottom because we don't have a structure that has been created around here. So the first target can be this double bottom here. That is it for gold. I hope you guys can see how we are implementing how to identify the highs and lows. It's a little bit hard compared to just marking higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, or lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. It's a little bit hard, but it's not hard as long as you understand the principle that once a high is broken and makes a new higher low and we break above, we expect it to be retested. Or once a low is created, lower high created, and then we break the low, we expect this to be retested. The moment it's not retested, we need it to be retested at a later point, right? Which is exactly the principles that you can see if you've been keen that we're implementing here, right? So this is the second example. I'll just give you the last example. We have spoken about Euro USD. We have spoken about gold. Now, let me give an example on GBP USD. Now, as usual, we shall start from monthly. I've also spoken about GBP USD for a couple or a number of times. Now, the month has around 4 days, either 4 to 5 days to end. This one, I don't know. This month has 30 days or 31 days. I'm not so sure. This is, which month is this? This is June. Most likely, let me see, 31, 30, 31. This is most likely 30. So we have around 4 days to end the month, right? So if we close above this point here, meaning we're still continuing up. And which one would be our target? Our target would be this one here. It takes me back to the concept. The market created a low, lower high, a low, lower high. But this area here was left virgin, was never tested. Then the market continued making lower low, lower high, lower low. Also, this area is not tested, this one is not tested. So the market just broke above this area, came back, tested these areas here, broke above, tested this point, and why reacted to this point. So currently we are above this point. Once market closes above here on a retest, we shall be pushing up here. Then from there, we continue maybe with our downtrend. We don't know. Do not guess or predict the market. Always react to what the market is showing you, right? So this is the direction that we have in monthly on GBP USD. When you come to weekly, everything is even very, very clear. So I told you guys about the market coming to test this point here. In the previous videos, also I talked about the impulse and correction that we expect in the market continues up. Now you can clearly see that the market is also making higher highs and higher lows. Market made a high here, higher low, equal highs, equal lows. Now the problem here is most people may think this is a high. Well, the moment the market is making a high, higher low, equal highs, equal lows. This is not an M. I've mentioned this in the video of M's and W's. The moment this neckline here is not broken, the market can easily make a W. This is exactly what the market created here. The market created higher low, equal highs, equal lows, and make a W. You guys see this? Broke this neckline, making this a W. So the market came back and retested this same point, and then now we're breaking above. This is the market making new structures of higher highs and higher lows. So you can see it here, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So what do we expect? We expect the market to give us a correction into this area before we can go higher. But of course, weekly is telling us that we have an area that is slightly lower, that we should not ignore this area here. I'll just change it to blue, depreciate. So this can be your first target. Then when we go down to daily, we can clearly observe the momentum is what? The momentum is still bullish. You can see we do have two buyers saying that I can beat all these number of candles. So meaning that the higher chances we're still continuing higher. And I still mentioned this in the previous video where I was talking about GBP USD. If you've been following our videos, you probably know exactly what is going to happen. We say that after breaking this, we expect a retracement, then we can continue higher. So we have a confluence of previous resistance that has now become support, which the market could test and pushes up. That is one. Then secondly, we have a confluence of this impulse that the market moved from there up to here. And you can clearly see we have so far touched one of the Fibonacci retracement levels and we're reacting to it. But it may give us a deeper push into this area here before pushing higher, right? So that's the second confluence. You can even add on other confluences that we have taught you on this channel, like moving averages and the rest, maybe a trend line, depending on your trading style, right? So, but our area of interest is this area here. Now let's go slightly and to checking the structures that we do have here. Now we have a slight problem that the market has created while coming down. It created this structure here, which creates an M. Now someone may say, like how you guys know, I put in the comment section, there's no M there, you're lying. Now when you go to the line chart here, you can clearly see that we have a structure here. We have a structure here. I'll just turn this color to red to differentiate. Now let me just go back to candles so that it can make sense. You can see this makes an M. Remember we said the moment a neckline is broken, so we expect after an M is created, neckline tested, then we expect a push down, either to make double bottoms or lower low. Now in this case, the perfect scenario will be for us to retest this area and then we make a low, so that we can have a proper mini trend while having a weak momentum, so that once we change trend into this area here, we can easily go up into our area, right? So currently we expect the market to push up, then maybe make a low or even double bottoms. Even if a higher low, it's fine. But the perfect thing the price to do will be for it to make a low, so that we can have a bigger risk to reward ratio. But even if it changes trend from wherever it is and creates a structure, it's still okay. This is still a decent risk to reward ratio, right? So let's slightly go into entry time frames and we'll observe. Now, when I come to H4, you can still see the momentum here is still bullish, though currently we're having a mini movement downwards, right? So personally, I'm expecting, or I'm waiting for the market to come into this area here before I can observe change of trend. I'll be very patient. Those who have interacted with me know that I'm very patient. Some people may tend to take my trading style as boring, right? So I'll wait for the price to come into this area, give me a change of trend, then I can easily take my trade into this area. So I've given you guys 3 examples with deep explanations. I hope it did make sense. In case you watched until the end, do not forget to give us the likes button in case it has made sense to you and you've gotten value. And also, if it was your first time coming across the channel, do not fail to subscribe, because you'll be missing out a lot of content like this one here, whereby we do help you on your way to consistency. That is it from us today. Have a great time.